All right. So welcome in again. Happy Thursday. We have Gabriella and Aaron, who will kind of be a silent partner for us tonight. She just had a little surgery that she's healing from. Yeah. And they are from deCordova. And they're going to introduce themselves in a bigger way. But really, we're here to talk about the corporate art loan program at the Sculpture Park and Museum. So welcome in. Take it
Yeah,
away.
thank you. Thanks so much for having us. Hi, everyone. Happy Souls, no, Equinox. We're not the solstice yet. We are super jazzed to share some information with you lovely artists from the general Cape area. Um, Before I share my screen, it's a little hard on the Zoom, but show of hands. Familiar with deCordova, been to deCordova, love deCordova, know deCordova, any of the above, any hands? Yay, some hands. Okay, that's terrific. Wonderful. Um, so I'm going to give an introduction to the institution itself and the program and all of that. Let me share my screen so there's some fun visuals going on. Um, okay, Um, so like I said, we're going to go through some history of the trustees, deCordova, the Corporate Art Loan Program. We'll go over into the details of the program, how it works, our lending artist benefits package. We'll view some works from our collection as good examples. We'll look at some photos from installations and we'll share some contact info for you. So that's what we're going to go through today. I don't think we'll take up the full hour and a half, but we will do questions at the end. But if you have a burning question while I'm talking, please raise your hand and I will get to you. Let me go back and introduce myself a little bit before I start in. I'm Gabriella. I have been with deCordova since August of 2021. And I am currently the director of Museum Enterprise, so overseeing the corporate art loan program, our retail, our private events, and our admissions and visitation. I, in a previous life, owned a corporate, oh my God, I'm so used to saying that word. In a previous life, I owned a custom porcelain lighting company. I had a little ceramic studio in Cambridge, working with translucent porcelain, making functional light fixtures. So I come from an artist-ish background, and so I feel for all of you. Um, and my colleague Erin, who is not gonna use her lovely voice tonight, she is our artist relations lead. So for the corporate art loan program, she is the main point of contact for all of our wonderful lending artists, helping with paperwork, helping with artwork submissions, any questions, anything of the sort. And she is always helping us grow our roster of wonderful artists. So she moving forward, if you decide you'd like to apply to be a part of the program, she would likely be your main point of contact. So now I'll jump in. So those of you familiar with the trustees, not sure if you're also familiar, or those of you familiar with deCordova, not sure if you're familiar with the trustees of reservations. The trustees cares for over 100 special places across the state of Massachusetts. There are certainly some properties on the Cape and the islands, and it's Massachusetts' oldest preservation and conservation organization, nonprofit. And in 2019, deCordova integrated with the trustees. And so it's one of their flagship cultural institutions, and it's become a wonderful partnership, really, and helping deCordova further explore the role of art in the landscape, and the sort of uh, coming together of art and nature. So the trustees is essentially sort of our parent organization. deCordova, this is such an exciting year, was established in 1950. So it is the 75th anniversary of deCordova, which is wonderful for an art institution. Um, and it is the largest park of its kind in New England. It's about 30 acres of sculpture park in Lincoln. And we have about 50 or so large scale outdoor sculptures, most of which are permanent, but are sort of sometimes moved throughout the park. And we are always trying to add new exciting sculptures to the park. We have an outdoor exhibition opening called Nature Sanctuary in June, and that will be all women artists presenting sculpture work. So that's pretty exciting. Um, Fun fact about deCordova that I love, it is home to Lincoln Nursery School, which is the first preschool to embed itself in a contemporary art museum, which is just fun and fabulous for those little kids. On the left here, you can see some examples of some of the sculpture in the park. The bottom right is a piece by Hugh Hayden that just joined our collection last year. Um, it's a leaned representation of Thoreau's cabin. And then bottom left is a wonderful Andy Goldsworthy piece called Watershed. And so there's really a breadth of styles of contemporary sculpture in the park, but it's just a wonderful place. Oops. All right. So the corporate art loan program, this program just 2 years ago celebrated its 50th anniversary. So this program was started in 1973. When it was started, it looked really different than it looks now. When it was started, it was kind of these like little mini museum exhibitions, whatever was being shown in the museum. The curatorial team would put together a little mini version for a couple of few select donors to the museum. Over the decades, it became clear that that was not an appropriate thing to be doing with permanent collection works of the museum, et cetera, et cetera. And so the program really morphed into more of what it is today, which is this incredible platform for regional New England artists like yourselves to be showcasing your work in spaces that you might not otherwise have access to. And so we work with artists from across New England, though predominantly Massachusetts, but all 6 New England states. And artists loan us original artworks, and we in turn loan those original artworks out to our corporate members. And our corporate members range in industry and location around the greater Boston area. But it's a wonderful opportunity for artists to show their work in these types of spaces. We work with exclusively original artwork, so none of the works in our program are reproductions. And our team curates these schematic artwork packages for our corporate members, showcasing a variety of options for each artwork location. So even if your piece isn't selected, it's still being seen by an audience of people who are looking through these artwork packages monthly. At the end of all of these rotation cycles, so the artwork is loaned to the corporate member on an annual rotation cycle. At the close of every rotation cycle, the corporate member has the option to purchase the artwork. I will say that does not happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes. And I'll talk more about that as we continue. All of the fees that our corporate members pay go directly to supporting the artists and to supporting deCordova's ongoing exhibition schedule and educational opportunities and the general public's participation with the arts. We work again with with companies in all different industries. So our patrons range from developers and property management companies. So that would be more pieces in lobby spaces, to lab and life science institutions, municipalities, sometimes higher education. So really all different types of spaces. And we sort of understand the nuance of what it means to be in each of these types of spaces. We work with a memory care facility, for instance, and it's really important in those situations that we make sure that the artwork we're showing doesn't have any red, paint drips, because that connotes, blood and things we don't want to be thinking about there. So we understand those nuances, and so we're very careful as we are curating these artwork packages to be showing appropriate artwork for the appropriate space. So a little bit about how the program works. So step one is an application. You can find the application on our website. And that just tells us a little bit about you, about your work, about why you're interested in joining the program, some more logistical details and things like that. So it probably takes about 20 minutes to fill out. But that is on our website. So that would be step one. Step two would be an intro call. So if it seems like there's a potential fit after we review your application, we'll schedule an intro call with Erin, to dive deeper and to share more about the program with you and to answer any questions you have. Step three would be a studio visit. If after the intro call, we feel like there's still a good fit going on there and we're excited and et cetera, we would love to schedule a studio visit to come and see your space, your practice, view some of your work in person. We also set up virtual studio visits. That was obviously very popular a couple of years ago. And we do continue with that when distances are long. So that would be step three. Always fun to see artists' faces. And then step four would be artwork submissions. So assuming everything looks great at the studio and we're all jazzed and everyone's on board, we would send you all of the necessary information to get into a private individual portal through our system that would allow you to submit artworks and upload through there. We ask that you provide as much detail as possible with multiple supporting visuals. If you are someone who likes your work to be seen, a certain way, those kinds of details are important to us. If you have framed work, it's important that the visuals represent what the framed piece looks like. All of those kinds of details there, it's very clear. We provide instructions for how to upload and everything like that. We use Artwork Archive, which perhaps some of you know as a database. And if you are already an Artwork Archive user yourself, it makes it really easy to link things to submit. So you can definitely flag that on your application if you are already using Artwork Archive. And then step five would be onboarding and beyond. So we'll formally accept or reject submissions after a review process. If we are accepting works, we will make sure to have a signed W-9 from you, a digital inventory intake form, your artist contract with us, and all of those things. Once your paperwork is signed, we'll be able to start sharing your work in these custom curated digital artwork packages. And then you're sort of off to the races. As soon as a piece is accepted for a specific placement, we'll let you know, and then your first piece will be installed through the program. And then once all the paperwork is signed, you also are able to start taking advantage of the artist benefits package, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And just to touch base a little, when I say digital inventory, we historically back in the day, I don't even know if I should share this with you, but I will. Historically back in the day, when artists would join the program, in order to actually have artworks brought to the program, they were physically brought to the museum. And so all of our inventory was physical. That is untenable when you have a collection the size of ours, which is 1,500 and growing. So we moved many years ago to what we're calling a digital inventory system. So we do house some works still at the museum, mostly as like a staging area, 3 weeks back, 3 weeks out, 3 weeks in. before and after an installation, but we keep our inventory on Artwork Archive. So that is where we are pulling works that are available to put into these packages. And that is where you're submitting work. That's how we are approving the work. And that's how we're viewing what is available to us. So the works get submitted digitally, they get approved digitally, and not until they are officially accepted for a specific placement are they brought to the museum physically. I am actually just going to take a really quick pause and see, does anyone have any questions? Please feel free to just unmute yourself and speak. Any quick questions before I continue on? Yeah, please.
Hi, thank you for having this, by the way. It's very, very
Absolutely.
great. I'm excited. Um, as far as the fees are concerned, if a piece were to sell, what would the commission structure look
Yeah,
like?
getting there. It will be in there on the next little bit.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep going. How is my artwork handled? So, in short, with care, we our operations lead couldn't join us tonight, but he is a member at Brick Bottom in Somerville. He is an artist himself. All of our art handlers are artists themselves. We understand how important it is to care for your work and that you are loaning it to us, and we are keeping good care of it when it's in our possession. So we are responsible for the installation and transportation of the artwork for the duration of the loan agreement. Once the artwork has been placed with a corporate member, the lending artist is responsible for delivering the artwork to deCordova. We do make exceptions on a case-by-case basis for extra large works that don't fit in your personal vehicle. And the program really strives to keep your work on a continual exhibition basis. So like we're not looking to like place it once and then like leave it in the museum to collect dust. The hope is that it sort of continues on a cyclical basis. So like your piece is up from April to the end of March, and before it's coming down, we know that it's already going to be slated for something in May. So it's only sitting for a month and then it goes into the next rotation and so on and so forth. That's the goal. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's what we strive for. We will hold works temporarily at the museum between placements, no cost to you, of course, so that we have the opportunity to place it quickly. If after, I don't know what it is, it might be 3 months or so, if it doesn't place, then we request that the artist take the work back. So a little bit about our artist roster. We are so lucky to work with so many talented artists. We work with artists ranging from recent MFA grads to prolific octogenarians who have been doing this their whole lives, and everything and everywhere in between. We work with over 150 regional artists. From those artists, we have over 1,500 original artworks in our collection. The collection really ranges in size and aesthetic and medium, although I would say generally under the contemporary art umbrella. And we're just looking to continue to evolve and grow. So there is no limit on the number of artists who can be on the roster. There is no limit to the number of artworks that can be in our collection. We just want to continue to accurately represent the artist community of New England and Massachusetts and the greater Boston area, and tell your stories and make sure that our corporate members are seeing the amazing talent that is, next door. These photos, by the way, are photos of some of our past artist appreciation events. We tend to have one annual artist appreciation event at the museum every year, and it's a wonderful time to connect with the overall artist community associated with CALP. So a little bit about the program benefits, the lending artist benefits package. So in addition to the placement opportunities, of course, lending artists receive unlimited free admission to deCordova Sculpture Park and Museum. 75% of artwork sales go to the artist. So we hold on to only 25% of sales. So if at the end of a loan, a corporate member decides they absolutely cannot live without this piece behind their reception desk, it has to stay there forever, they want to buy it, wonderful. We handle that transaction for you, and then you will receive a check in the mail for 75% of the value that you give us. So that is another reason why it's so important that when you upload your information, you provide all important details like market value. We are very happy to be paying out artwork placement honorariums. This did not always exist, so we're thrilled to be offering something. I know it's nominal, but it is something. And it can be what you want it to be. So we have some artists who, they love the program, they love deCordova, they want to support it, but they don't hold a big inventory, and they really only have one piece in their portfolio that they're willing to part with. And that's fine. That's great. If it's a piece that fits for us, that's wonderful. So, it's one piece. Even if it continues to place, it's $150 annually. We have some artists who their work is just really spot on with what most of our corporate members are looking for. And so they have 20 pieces in our collection, and those 20 pieces place all the time. And so if you have 20 pieces that are placing every year, it adds up to a little something, So it's really, you can make of that what you want. I'll leave it at that. The artwork placement honorarium is only for when the artwork physically places with a corporate member. So it is not when the work is accepted to the program. It is only when it is physically installed with one of our corporate members. 1 year complimentary membership to the trustees at large. So this gives you access to all 100+ properties across the state of Massachusetts and the islands, which is super fun and wonderful if you haven't been to some of those properties. Crane Beach up in Ipswich is one of them. That's a fan favorite. And then recognition on as a lending artist on our CALP website with accompanying imagery, your profile picture, artist info, your links to whatever you'd like. Priority registration for events at deCordova, discounts on adult workshops at deCordova, 10% discount at the deCordova shop, which if you haven't been there is fabulous. Continual rotation of your artwork, assuming placement occurs within 12 months, it says here. We're trying to drop that down, but 12 months of artwork entry into the program. And then we do have some more exciting opportunities for installation around the museum, especially in the cafe, which is, of course, a highly visible area. Nobody goes to a museum and doesn't go to the cafe. And opportunity for artwork sales at the completion of loans, and the opportunity to participate in lending artist community networking events. So that's the overall benefits package. And now I'm excited to share some examples of artworks from our collection. These have been broken into sort of 4 general buckets, if you will. These 4 buckets tend to be the most placeable. And as I go through, I think you'll understand why. The first bucket here, there's 2 pages per bucket. The first bucket is sort of Boston urban cityscape related work. The offices that are, very much in Boston proper tend to really love this work, even though they see it on a regular basis in real life. But in any case, you can see representational, urban city life. So these would be perfect examples of that. And all of these 6 works that I just showed place all the time. The next would be nature and landscape. Can't go wrong with that. So these are some wonderful examples of that. Maybe some of you are familiar with Pete on the Cape. And Peter. These are some terrific examples of highly, highly, highly placeable, beautiful nature-themed work. The third bucket would be more modern, contemporary abstract work. These works tend to place in with companies with a younger employee demographic, tech companies. Um, that's a good example. But these 2 pages would represent that. And then the 4th would be the category of sort of soft abstracts. Really layered, calm color that I will use the term, even though I hate to use it, as sort of like non-offensive, it's just soothing to the eye and can sort of work anywhere. So I hope those sort of buckets make sense, having some visuals now. That is not to say that if you feel like your work doesn't quite fit in one of those, that we don't want to see it. I just show those as examples of the most placeable types of work. There are always one-offs, and there's always clients looking for things that are different, and please don't let that be a hindrance. It's just to give you some good examples. These are some frequently asked questions that come up frequently. So I'm going to share some answers here. How long will my work be on loan? Great question. Our artist contract requests that your works are submitted to the program sort of in perpetuity, which I know can be a scary word, and I don't mean it to be. It is only listed that way because of the cyclical nature that I was trying to describe earlier. So we want you to loan us work, we want to place it, and then we want to keep placing it. And if every contract was different for every specific work, it would be really hard to know what was available to be showing for the next one and the next one. And we have so many different rotations at different times of the year that it gets very complicated logistically. So that is why we request that. That said, in perpetuity or until the artist requests the work back, if you have a show and you know you're going to need it, or if someone comes back 6 months later from a show and says, oh my God, you still have that piece, I'm dying for it, I want to buy it. We never want to stand in the way of an artist making a sale. You just let us know, and we will find a suitable replacement if it's already on loan somewhere to be able to get the piece back to you. So we are flexible. The reason we ask for it is just so that we can keep loaning it out. So that's sort of how long it'll be on loan. Our typical loan term with our corporate members it's an annual rotation. There are a couple of corporate members who have us for a 2 or 3 year loan rotation because they're larger companies. They have these like groups of people who get together to determine what the artwork will be, and they like can't get together more than every 2 years, and getting 10 people in a room to agree on artwork is not that easy, and so they don't want to do it every year. So there are a couple of corporate members who have the works on loan longer, and then there are some works or some corporate members who fall in love with their collection. It's not their intention to not rotate, but they have their works up for a year, and then it comes around time to rotate, and they're like, please, can we keep it for 1 more year? We love everything that's up, everyone's so happy with it. We generally say sure, no problem. Of course, if an artist has requested something back, then that piece would rotate or what have you, but sometimes those placements do extend to 2 years or 3 years, but beyond 3 years we really push them to return it, because of course the point of the program is that you have visibility for your work and that it's constantly being seen by new eyes. What happens if the corporate member wants to purchase my work? We kind of talked about that. We love when it happens. It does not happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes. Sometimes the buyer is the corporation itself. They want it for their office and the corporation purchases it. Sometimes it's an employee. They've been staring at the piece for a year in front of their desk, and they're like, I want this in my living room. So the buyer isn't always the corporate member. Sometimes it's an employee, and sometimes it's a passerby. We had Last year, a sale from a placement in a lobby, and someone contacted us because they had passed by it and they loved it. So I tell you that as an anecdote, not to get you so jazzed that like your work is going to sell immediately, but that it does happen on occasion. Um, if I move away from the greater Boston area, what happens to my work? If you move away while we have works in your program, we are happy to keep offering them to clients if you want that. We do always request that we have a contact in the region who is able to receive your work if we do need to return it. We're happy to arrange a return with a local contact, but we do not ship any artwork. So that is never an option. Will the curatorial department of deCordova review my work? No, they will not. I have to say very clearly, this is not a way to get in with the curatorial team. This is not a way to get your work seen by the curatorial team. This is really a separate collection. It's a separate program. So we just have to be very clear that these are two completely distinct things. Can I use the deCordova name? You absolutely can use the deCordova name, just with the extension of the affiliation with the program itself. So always saying the corporate art loan program at deCordova Sculpture Park and Museum. Here is a lovely lending artist testimonial from artist Adam O'Day. I don't know if any of you are familiar with him. He's been with the program for quite some time, and his work is very well received, and he's had really some great success with us. He's had some wonderful commissions come through the program, some big artwork sales through the program, and he's a proponent. So just leaving that quote up there for a minute for you to take a look. And you can see why his work is successful with our Boston area clients. And now I love this portion because you get to see the artwork in context in some of these office spaces. You can see in open office spaces, in boardrooms and conference rooms. There's our install team in lobby spaces, in reception areas, in private offices, all of the above. And you can see really variety of types of spaces. We're, often combining works from our collection in areas of an office space, and sometimes clients like to ensure that it's, all work from the same artist. Sometimes they're happy to mix it up. Private offices, conference rooms, hallways. I would say 85% of our collection is work on canvas. Of the work on canvas, I'd say maybe 5 to 10% have floater frames around them, but the vast majority are just stretched canvas. It is really greatly appreciated when the wraps of the canvas are clean. It doesn't have to be white or a color or a solid color, it just has to be clean. If you want your work to be in a floater frame, that's lovely. That's wonderful. We do have some clients who request works that are in floater frames, but we understand the cost of framing, and so that's really up to you. So of the 15% of the collection that's not work on canvas, maybe 8 of it is work on paper. If you do work on paper and you want to submit work, we require it to be behind glazing. So nicely framed. We are unable to help with the framing costs of that. So again, we understand framing is expensive, but if it is a work on paper, we can only accept it if it is ready to hang in a frame. The last little bit of work in the collection is, I'd say, like mixed media on panel. We have quite a bit of that. We don't really have any 3D work. Very little. If it is a dimensional wall sculpture that fits ADA regulations, so that is not deeper than 4 inches, we would be interested to see what that would be, because we do have some clients who are interested in sort of the non-square rectangle, approach. But generally it's 2-dimensional work. And it is really important to us that all of the work that come to us be ready to hang, whether that's D-rings, wire. We don't have too many works that come with a cleat because most of the work isn't really heavy enough to need a cleat. And we don't really have any artists who submit work with security hardware on there. I think that's all I wanted to say on that. Here is our general contact info. If you head to our website, you will find there's a big thing that says apply. So that would be the application if you are interested. And that's what I've got for you. That's the presentation. Thank you
Amazing.
so much for hopping on here and being interested. We really love supporting our regional and local artist community. It is so fun to go to these installs and watch people respond to the artwork. It's really, people get so jazzed and they get also so attached to some of the artwork, and it's just I feel honored and grateful to be in the position I'm in to be able to see that. And when we can, we love to share those reactions and things with artists. We do also have artist folders. So we have private designated protected folders that go out to each artist that hold your paperwork and installation shots. So we're always taking install shots at at an installation, and then we try to take some nice contextual shots too that you can use for social media or your website. And so that's another added perk to get those in situ shots. And so those are accessible in those artist folders.
Amazing. Thank you, Gabriella. We have a few questions in the chat if you don't mind.
Yeah, let me stop sharing so I can see.
Yeah, and I'm happy to kind of run through. You answered a couple of them.
Okay.
But so folks were really asking about medium a lot. So,
Yep.
painting, mixed media, photography just came up. So I'm wondering about that myself,
Yep.
including portraiture, figurative for all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll start.
Let me start there and then we'll go
Mhm.
on. Okay. I just thought my voice was cutting out frequently. I'm so sorry.
I
So
think
sorry.
you were good on my end. So for the recording, I think we're okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
In terms of medium and photography, we do have some photography in our collection. We have some abstracted photography that does well. We have some beautiful nature photography that does well. Um, Figurative is not the name of the game here. We we look at all of this artwork not necessarily through our own personal preference lens, but through the lens of these corporate members. And you have to understand that they are trying to make sure that they are not offending anyone, that they are not excluding anyone, that they are not misrepresenting anyone. And so we really shy away from figurative work. And when we are talking about representational work, we're really talking about nature, not animal. Yeah. Do we accept mixed media? We do accept mixed media. It's more and more popular and people ask for it more and more. So that is exciting to us. Just so long as there's nothing like flapping and hanging and something that can get snagged easily, or like sharp things coming out, or, I mean, common sense. Um, these are spaces that are not, nobody's like rubbing against them, but these are spaces that people are working in and living in, not living, but you know what I mean, day-to-day living in. And so it's very different than something that's being curated for the walls of a gallery where nobody is walking, within a foot of the wall. So just keeping that in mind is helpful. Portraiture, again, even, painting, if it is really abstracted, if it is a street view and there happen to be people walking in the distance and there's very little detail, but you can make out that there is someone in the distance, that's okay. But a portrait would not fly. Are larger works more desirable? In general, yes. So we like to work with artists who work in small scale, large scale, medium scale, all of that. And we do, if you work in smaller scale, so when we say smaller scale, we're really like smaller than maybe 30 by 30, or like 30 by 24 or something like that, smaller than that. We really request that you submit in series, because we are typically outfitting much larger walls. So we guide our corporate members not to look at like the individual pieces, right? Like if we have a 10-foot wall to outfit, we show multiple options per location, right? So we'll maybe show a single 40 by 60, and then maybe we'll show a pair of 30 by 30s, and then maybe we'll show a grid of 4 24 by 24s. So we're showing different ways that they can fill the space, and that way we're able to show works by artists who work in different scale. But in general, the most highly placeable sized work is in the 100 United inch range. So a 40 by 60 or a 32 by 72 or that general range, 100, 120 United inches is really the sweetest spot. We do have spaces for larger, like much larger works, like 60 inches by 100 inches. But there are fewer opportunities for those placements. So those works would sit in the digital inventory longer, probably, because there are just fewer opportunities for them to place. The $150 honorarium, I do just want to clarify, it's a placement honorarium, and the placement is the artwork location. So it's not like if you work in small scale and you're submitting a grouping that's like 12 10 by 10s. Each of those 10 by 10s is not $150 placement. It's the cohesive, piece or series that is filling that space. So if it is a series of 3 30 by 20s that get hung in one single space, that is considered one placement. So if you need further clarification on that, I can give you more. Let's see. Watercolor's beautiful. Once a piece is chosen, do we have input into that decision? We do have a line in the application where you can say if there's a type of corporation or a specific place that you would not want your work displayed. So you can state that up front. We do not pass every accepted placement by every artist. What am I missing here?
I think the last one, and maybe this is more like in the contract part, is about insurance coverage. I think once something is.
Yeah, sure. So the artwork is covered under when it's in our possession, it is covered under our insurance policy. So that's again why it's important that those values are listed for us.
Amazing. I love all of these questions, and thank you for fielding all of them. Um,
Yeah.
does anyone else have any other thoughts, questions, anything that you want to share? Again, feel free to come off mute or type it in the chat. We've been doing a little bit of both.
Framing traditional or contemporary. I would say the simplest framing is best. You know, if we're talking about a floater frame, a really skinny white or black floater frame is nice, clean, simple. You know, once we start to get like thicker and heavier, it starts to detract, I think, from the work, and so then it doesn't get placed as frequently, because then it's about the frame and not about the art. In terms of some Boston places are very gilded framing types. Yeah, we have a couple of works that are in some of those gilded framing types. They will place occasionally in the right space, but it's just it will detract from the opportunity for the artwork to place. Yeah. Do you place many pieces down the Cape? We do not have very many corporate members that far south. That hopefully will change. Always looking to add our corporate member side. But we do work with a ton of artists who are down on the Cape and in the area. So Cape representation on the artist roster side for sure. And definitely looking to expand our corporate members across Massachusetts.
Amazing. I'm going to say like last call for questions, and we can always reach out to you all if we have more, I assume.
I have one other question, if I may.
Oh yeah, please, Michelle.
Lots of questions. As far as Artwork Archive, which I do have a profile for, but it's private right now,
Okay.
how can we go about finding you there?
Yeah, so you won't find us there.
Okay.
Well, I shouldn't say that, but I would say you'll find a version of us. So the corporate art loan website, through the trustees and through deCordova, when you click around, you will get to a point where something looks kind of like Artwork Archive, and that's because we use their universal embed code for the artist profile portion of our website.
Mhm.
But in terms of information for the program and things like that, I would go directly to the trustees website rather than searching in Artwork Archive.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I have another question.
I love it.
Go for it. I'm here. There's no worries.
I do 2D interactive sculptural mixed media, which is done on wooden panels that only have a 1.5 profile on it. And it's all hand sculpted work, which has got a lot of color that changes. So it's a twofold question. My large piece that I have is 108 by 108. It weighs less than, well, it's actually just 100 pounds. So A, is there a poundage requirement, limit, I should say? B, it comes in 9 panels that are all attached. So if for pieces like that, do you allow the artist to be there to help put the installation together? And then I forgot my third one. So I will remember it by the time you're done
Yeah,
answering.
sure, no problem. That's huge. Congrats. I was
Big piece.
really curious to see it. That would be an example of something that would likely sit in our digital inventory for quite a while until the right space came along. If
Okay.
it was something that got accepted into the digital inventory. We do not typically have artists join us on the install. We have a professional install team of art handlers. We do request if there are special instructions that you provide those. We have some artists who will send us diagrams. We have some artists who will send us pictures. Some artists who will like tuck things in the back of the painting secretly that we'll find when installing. Videos sometimes. Thank you, Erin. We're super open to your instruction, but we do not typically have artists join us on installs. Um, there is no weight limit. That said, there are quite a few of our corporate members who have over the years decided that they don't want to keep putting holes into their walls, so they have installed cable systems. And so for those types of spaces, which would not be for the size of the scale of your work, but for those types of spaces, we can't really be hanging too many panels because you only have so many cable drops and there's a weight limit to those. So not to say it's not possible, but it adds, some complication.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I think we did it.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, I thank you so much for joining in. Please visit the website, find the application if you're interested in submitting. We would love to hear from you. If you have any artist friends who you think would be interested, please send them our way as well. And then one last thing that I didn't mention, while I was doing my whole spiel, but that I'm now remembering I like to say to people is, we have some artists who maybe what they generally work on or their general portfolio is not really in line with this, but they really like the idea of the program and they want to participate. And they've been looking for a reason or an outlet for experimentation. And so maybe you decide, I'm not going to loan something that is in my portfolio that I have earmarked for something and blah, blah, blah. But this would be a really fun reason to make this like 40 by 60 that I've always been dreaming of making and just experiment with it and just see what happens. And then that like this is just made for this. I'm not doing it for anything else. And so some of our artists choose to look at the program that way as this sort of like fun experiment that is not necessarily in line with their general daily practice, but is just a fun opportunity. And so I just invite you to think about it that way sometimes if needed.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I had forgotten that we talked about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that just like lit me up. I was like, oh my gosh, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. If
Maybe
you're looking
creating
for
in
some
lots of different
excuse to like
spaces.
go
So
experiment on a, in a medium or in a way that you don't use it
yeah,
for.
yeah.
And last question, no, there is no fee to join. We are humbled and honored when artists want to loan us their work. No, there's no fee to join. How long does the process application take? The application itself, depending on how much information you want to provide us with, will probably take you 20 minutes. And then, it's probably a week or two before we get back if we feel like there's a good fit. And then there's a call, and then there's maybe another couple of weeks, and then maybe there's the studio visit, and then maybe there's another couple of weeks and you submit, and then maybe there's another couple of weeks and we review. And, could go really, really, really fast. If the fit is just like so perfect and wonderful, could go a little bit slower. I'd say anywhere from like a month really speedy to like 4 months if you're like making work or like I don't have time to upload now, but I really love the idea of this and I'm going to do it at some later date. And we have artists who like we spoke to 2 years ago who are like now uploading work. You know, this is on a rolling basis. There's no deadline. The program's not going anywhere. It's been around for 50 years. So take your time, think about it. No stress, no pressure. Yeah, just enjoy.
Just thought of a question and then it disappeared. So I might be emailing you later.
Well, that's no problem. I'm happy to stay on too for another few minutes if people are still noodling on things.
Totally coming. Thank you so much, Gabriella.
Thank
Anyone else
you.
want to jump off mute? I know we had a couple of folks who had to bounce, but yeah, this has been just really awesome. And like I said, when we had our conversation last year, I think at this point,
Yeah.
I was just really excited to share this with all of our artists. And because we recorded it, it can go beyond today and hopefully become a resource and something that will continue to introduce artists to you all and the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Terrific. And plug for the new outdoor exhibit, Nature Sanctuary, that is opening in June up at the Sculpture Park. So hopefully you'll come see it.
I remembered my
Thank
question.
you.
Oh, yeah, please. What is it?
No, thank you. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Susan. I was wondering, is there a certain time of year that you are typically placing, or is it truly like, month to week
Really
to
all year. We
up to
have
it? Okay,
corporate
great.
members who are on an annual rotation of every month of the year. So we have rotations in January, February, March, every month. Our busiest months tend to be September, October, November, and March, April, May.
Great.
But uh, but no, I mean, we have corporate members in rotating in every month of the year.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Glad I remember that. All right. Thank you all so much. I'm going to just call us good. Again, reach out to Gabriella if you do have any other questions or if you want me to pass it along. I'm so happy to as well.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you all for joining.
Yeah, have a
Have a
great night,
wonderful
everyone.
evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool.
Bye.
Thank you.